Hello. Oh, there we go. All right, everyone, we are going to get started. So we want to say thank you for coming on short notice. We know there is a lot of questions. I am going to run down the most asked questions, and then if you still have more, we are happy to answer them. So this little question and answer session is strictly about the Legionella alert that you guys all received. We're not going to go into all the other things, okay? So we're going to keep this topic straight to the Legionella and water. So as all of you have been notified by letter and some of you by person, there have been some people here who recently moved in who went to the hospital and were diagnosed with Legionella. They both moved in recently. It is nobody who has been here for an extended period of time. So when we were notified in a precautionary measure, we shut down the water in BP and tried to contact every single one of you that lives in BP. Our staff went around and knocked on doors and left letters. And then we also notified everybody else just of this is what's going on and what we can do. We have posted the symptoms of Legionella, so you guys can find those. Please note that we have not gotten any positive tests of Legionella from our water, okay? It is not confirmed that it came from here. It is confirmed that we did testing because we were alerted by the health department. We had a big meeting with Wayne County Health Department environmentalist. We do have a water management plan that we follow. We do test for Legionella regularly, and all those tests have come back negative, okay? We also brought in our water management consultants, and they tested Tuesday? Wednesday. They were here Wednesday and tested. We do not have those results back yet because they have to get sent to the lab and all that kind of stuff. So those are supposed to come back within 7 days, 7 to 10 days. It is out of my hands when those come back. I would love to have them back today. I don't have them.
Just a quick note on that. The reason it takes 7 days is it's cultures. So cultures take a full 7 days to grow. There is a faster test that can be done. However, the faster test still takes 5 days and the accuracy is not as great. So when we told the health department the lab that was being used, they did tell us that that was the elite lab to use and that was one of the best labs to use. They would recommend that.
Also, we only shut down the water in BP because every building has their own water circulation. So the BP water does not circulate throughout the building. It doesn't circulate through BG or CS. So each building has its own water supply. So it is not traveling through. That is why we only shut down one building.
So we didn't shut down the water if you're not in BP.
Sorry.
You still have water. What it's recommended to do, so our water management plan is written by an expert, a consultant. We don't write the plan. The plan is written based on their education. They are actually Legionella experts. They get the certificate for it. It is also based on the city that you live in, by the structure of your building, so they have to have the blueprints and all of that. And then it's also based on CDC recommendations. So part of the water management plan is mitigation of any instances of a positive test. So since we didn't have a positive test, but we had positive people, we just followed the mitigation plan, which says that it's safe to keep the water running, but most people that get Legionella get it from the mist that's created in the water. It's carried in the mist. So if you think about where mist can be, if any of you at your kitchen sink your water one day went from this nice water when you turn it on to like gushing out very heavy, it's because the aerator came off of your sink. But that aerator creates a little bit of a fine mist. So that's why building services came through and removed aerators. They also tell you not to take a shower because the shower has a mist. But that when you run the water and you can do like a sponge bath, so to say, that is less of a risk. So I didn't make those up and Lexi didn't make those up. We took those from the CDC. We took those from the Legionella water plan. Also, the water, they say not to drink it. So that's why we passed out the 2 gallons to each resident in BP. And then we moved the 5-gallon Abso Pure water tanks. We only had 3 of them, so we put them on floors 1, 3, and 6. And then we're just asking that people can either refill their water there, or they can refill it with dietary. Or the fitness center, that water recirculator that's in there.
The fitness center does have a reverse osmosis water dispenser. So that water is tied in, but it is a filter and reverse osmosis. So that takes out all the impurities, and it's supposed to be the best water to drink.
There is no recommendation that you can't cook with water because Legionella can only survive at its like temperature danger zone, which, sorry, I knew I should have this at the top of my head, but my food service background is kicking in of my food service temperature danger zone. Google it. I want to make sure. It's 140. So there was some questions about, can I use my washer and dryer? Can I use my dishwasher? So in the education, that's why we waited a day to do the education. Can I have one so I can read it correctly? We did make sure that we put on there about your washing machine and about your dishwasher. It is safe to use it because of the temperatures that it gets to. It's a closed system. So it's not like there's water coming out of it when it's in use. And then just to minimize the exposure, they say obviously just let it finish its course. If your dishwasher does a heat dry, let it do the heat dry. And then from there, it's just regular cleaning and maintenance for you throughout the time. And pretty much the same. This is the education that you see on Scroll, that you see on Odyssey, that you see on my bulletin board. I brought only 20 more, but we got a copy machine close to us if you want one. If we can't get it to you right now, there is some extras. So I put them on the board across from my office in like one of those clear sleeves. And everybody in BP should have got one of these yesterday. When we did talk to the health department, so we did have a meeting with them, there was 10 people from the health department on there, so I think the health department was covered. They actually were happy with everything that we did. They had no more recommendations. We did send them the letters that we sent to all of you, just so that they understand what's happening. They didn't have anything else for us to do. They said we did everything they would have asked us to do. From there, we are going to have another meeting with them when our results come back. They do have a copy of the results from December, which is our annual testing, and they will get a copy of these results. As for what will happen, we're not sure, obviously. So everything is treated differently. I'll use the best example. The fountain at Birthplace Park creates mist. If the fountain at Birthplace Park came back with Legionella, that treatment is going to be different than if an apartment comes back with Legionella. So I can't go over every single different treatment that there would be, because there's a treatment for a hot water tank, there's a treatment for just one apartment, there's a treatment for a cooling tower, there's a treatment for a fountain, and they're all slightly different because the water system is slightly different. So when we get the results back, we will obviously be working with our water consultant if there's any concerns, and we will let you know what we're gonna do from there, and then we will be letting the health department know and working with them. Let's see. I'm going through my head of everything that's happened this week. I feel like that might. I feel like that's everything that's happened. I know it feels like a lot more, especially to me, but that's really it. A lot of it was just getting things together and getting it out to everybody. And you, for me, you kind of just keep going through your brain and trying to read everything. The consultant brought me his classroom book. About halfway through that, haven't learned anything new yet, but that's because he did such a good job teaching me already. There's been nothing new that's come up. So sometimes some of that is happening kind of gets stuck in my head, but it doesn't pertain to here. At this point in time, I think we could ask.
So just one more thing. Symptoms of Legionella. We have high fever, chills, muscle aches, headaches, sometimes diarrhea, nausea, and confusion. Just so you guys know, Legionella is completely treatable. And those symptoms could be related to anything as well. It's completely treatable. If you come down with those symptoms, we are asking you that you see your healthcare provider. We have talked to Dr. Asbahi about this, who is in the clinic. He is very on board and willing to help treatment. It's treated with antibiotics. It is not something that stays in your system forever, okay? It is completely treatable if caught early enough. We are very aware that we have some immunocompromised, more highly susceptible people here. And actually, every single one of you, most every single one of you sitting in this room is considered at risk because you are over the age of 50. Okay? Just like measles, shingles, everything else, when you're over the age of 50, you get to be in that lucky category of being more susceptible to things, okay? But please know, it is completely treatable if caught. So you start having some of these symptoms, please reach out to your healthcare provider. We do ask that you let us know if you would like for us to know so we can track it. However, you are not required to let us know. It would be, I can't make you guys do anything that you don't want to do. So if you would like to share it with us so we can have accurate tracking, we are happy to take that and track it and let the health department know. When work with them, we are working side by side with them, okay? But please, please, please reach out to your healthcare provider if you feel you are starting to have these symptoms. And if you cannot get to a healthcare provider or you don't put it off. We have people here, we have doctors that will come to your apartment, okay? We just reach out to Mike or Bill or Joe and they can get you somebody very quickly.
If you do not see a regular doctor and you have those symptoms and you plan to see Dr. Asbahi and it's, let's just say Sunday, and Dr. Asbahi is not here till Friday, I can call Dr. Asbahi. He will come any day to come see you. So the urgency is just to make sure that you react in a timely manner, because just like everybody went through COVID, some of people will get it and they will get it and be affected quickly, and some people get it and have no symptoms and don't realize it. If you have had any pneumonia diagnosis in the last 30 to 60 days, you can still go and ask like an urgent care, or you can make an appointment and let Dr. Asbahi know, or see your other doctor and just ask for an antigen test, which is a urine test, and it will tell you if you have any Legionella antigens. If you do still have antigens, they may consider treating it with an antibiotic, even though your pneumonia has run its course, because that way they can get the antigens out of your body.
And if you have been to the hospital with pneumonia in the past 5 years, probably, they've probably tested you for Legionella. It's a very standard test. They do a swab, so it's a very standard test that they do. All hospitals have been testing for it. Okay, Now is the time to ask us anything that we didn't cover. I know that the microphone will not pick up, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna repeat your question and then answer it, okay?
How are the two people doing? If got sick?
I don't know. Oh, sorry. He asked how the two people are doing that got sick. So I don't have that answer because I cannot ask the hospital for that because you guys are independent living.
Unfortunately, my SNF training goes out the window, and I'm not allowed to ask anything about anybody here, which is very hard to do. I don't know who is next.
I'm just gonna make my way around, okay?
And then I'll run out there
Okay.
if you can't hear.
First floor residents, okay, who water. I have removed my spray.
Oh, outside.
Outside,
Okay.
using an outside hose to water the plant
In BP.
in BP.
So in BP, if I'm going to right now. In BP, what we are talking about is in BP, if you have a hose with a sprayer on it to water plants, you know, a little nozzle if you're watering like your patio flowers and stuff, take that off and just use the hose or use a watering can. Thank you. The word wouldn't come to me. Don't care.
First of all, I want to thank you for the communication. I think it's been excellent and I felt reassured.
She said thank you for the communication. Do you want to run with the thing? I think that's some. Okay, hold on. She said thank you for the communication. She feels that it's been adequate, but she does have a question.
Okay. My question is it not possible to heat our water, our hot water, to 140 degrees so that we can wash dishes?
So the hot water, you can heat it to 140 degrees.
No, can it be delivered at 140 degrees?
I can answer this because I've read about it. So we would have to heat your hot water tank. So we would have to make sure that every person in BP knows not to turn on their hot water. We would have to heat your water tank up to 140 degrees, probably actually higher because we have to get up to the 6th floor and still be at 140 degrees. Which would mean that at the first floor, those levels would obviously be scalding and 3rd-degree burns. So we couldn't keep it at that level. You can't have your hot water tank at a level that when the water comes out, you can scald people with it, because then we're scalded. So that is one of the treatments, actually, that would be done that we could possibly do if it was in the hot water tank. We would have to tell everybody, don't touch your hot water. We'd have to heat it up to probably about 180 degrees for approximately 20 minutes. Then we would have to let it cool. Ask all of you to turn your water on to run that water out and make sure you're not getting burned, and then do it. Which means we probably won't do it that way because I don't trust somebody's not gonna get burned. So we would end up actually just taking the tank and emptying it, asking you all to flush your water, clean out the tank, bleach it, chlorine, refill the tank, and then be ready to go. So we can't unfortunately do that because it will create a scald and a burn issue.
One more thing too, guys, that came up with this. We have chemicals that we treat our water sources with regularly. We have a company we work with who provides us the chemicals. We treat things like the pool, the tanks, the chillers, all those things regularly on a preventative maintenance schedule.
I saw one more. Oh, okay.
You're talking as though BP is still under threat.
So it's precautionary. We have not advised you to be able to use the water regularly because we do not have the test results back yet. So we will not know if there even is a threat. We do not know that, but this is all precautionary.
Okay,
The two people that got it, how long were they here? I know the incubation period is up to 10 days. How long were they here before they tested positive?
So the two people that tested positive were here for about a month before they went to the hospital. However, that does not mean their symptoms did not have an onset prior to them coming. A lot of times, we get a cough, we get a headache, and we
think it's COVID
ignore
or
it,
something else.
wait until it gets worse, wait until it gets worse. We actually asked the health department that exact question, is how do we know when they got it? Is there a time frame that it sits in their system? So we know the incubation period is 2 to 14 days. However, that's the onset of symptoms. I can look around here and I can look back at myself and say, I've had symptoms for something for a while and I don't go see my doctor because you don't relate it to that.
So the two people who tested positive for the Legionella, was that in one apartment?
No, it was in the BP building. They weren't in the same apartment. Two separate apartments.
Cases, kind of. Okay. And then the other thing, I know you said you didn't want to, speculate. I mean, I'm assuming it was apartment-based. It might not have. It could have been from the fountain. I mean, I think that would be less likely unless they were right by the fountain all the time. But as far as treatment plan, would you be doing anything differently, like telling residents not to use their tap water at all if it turns out it's in your apartment water system?
I can't tell you what the treatment is going to be. We tested a variety of places, so it all depends on where it comes back at. And once we get that test and talk to our water management company, we will let you know what the remedy is.
So for the first, okay, because you said you made it sound like specific apartments. So is all the first floor, I mean, it's all one water source for the whole BP?
The water comes in from the city and it's divided into, each building has its own intake. Then from there it goes into the water system, the hot water tanks, then it goes up to the floors.
So if it is in BP, it's in the entire BP apartment?
Not
No.
necessarily. It could be just in one apartment. So Legionella sometimes will grow in stagnant water. So let's say you've been on vacation for 3 months in Florida and your water hasn't been run. That can affect just one apartment. To mitigate that, part of our move-in checklist is our team goes in and runs the water for a set period of time in each apartment before that person moves in to make sure you flush that out.
Yes. Did either or both of the two people passed away?
So I don't have health, I do not have health information and I cannot share health information.
One other thing, did you find out?
I cannot ask you guys are independent living in an apartment. That'd be like your landlord coming to you and asking you for a medical history or telling you that you have to report when you break your ankle or something like that. We cannot legally tell you you have to share information with us. We cannot ask the hospital to share that information with us.
So the hospital or the health department wasn't who contacted you to tell you about it?
So the process for them was even confusing, I'm not gonna lie. Basically, the concern for them was that if nobody ever knows where any of you live in the hospital. We're all one big happy place. They don't know if you live on the skilled care side. They don't know if you live in the independent living, if you're in assisted living. When you go to the hospital, if you say that's where you live, they don't write that down. It's just all one big happy family. We all live under one roof. So the hospital does not report those things directly to a facility when it happens. The hospital, if it was, let's just say this whole place was an assisted living, the hospital would then report it to us and to the health department. But the hospital a lot of times just like in COVID, only reports to the health department. The health department then contacts the resident, not us. However, they didn't know where residents lived, so they contacted us. So on our call the other day, they said, we don't know how to treat you. They didn't know. So what we said was, we're treating it like we're just all one big happy family still. However, it does get a little bit confusing because they would normally ask healthcare information, and I don't have any of that, and I'm not allowed to ask for it. So they still have to be very careful what they share with you, with us about you. So they can't even tell us what would be happening. If you went to the hospital and tested positive and went home, the health department would actually contact you theirself. They have a whole questionnaire that Dr. Asbazi had shared with me. They contact you for 3 months after you were showing any exposure. I think it's every other week. They'll call you and ask you the same questionnaire. I don't have that questionnaire because I'm not allowed to ask anybody that. So they can't ask me to ask you. So it's a little bit difficult. If we didn't have the skilled care on this property, we might have never even known this happened. So you're safer here than in a property without a skilled care.
In your Legionnaire education sheet that you handed out, you have a section in it called Prevention and Control Strategy, System Design and Engineering Control, and it talks about dead legs. Does BP have dead legs? And if it has dead legs, do any of the other buildings have dead legs? And have we actually looked?
I have become a plumber and everything else. Every building has dead legs in its own way. So let's just say I have a 2-bedroom apartment and I just have a lot of stuff. I live in 1 bedroom, but my stuff lives in the other bedroom. And I go to that bathroom every once in a while to wash my hands. There's a P-trap under your sink, that little loop, that's the P-trap. So essentially, when water goes to the end of something and doesn't necessarily have a place to go to after that, that's a dead leg. So that's where Lexi was saying if you're on vacation and you don't use your water, it can sit. Well, it's also true if you have a 2-bedroom and you don't use the second bathroom, and then let's just say you're over there cleaning things out and you're like, oops, I gotta go and I don't have time to make it to the first bathroom, and you make it to the second bathroom. If that bathroom's water hasn't run in 3-4 months or longer, that water has sat there. It only takes 7 days for Legionella to start to grow. That's why it's actually way more common out in the world than we realize, but they don't talk about it as much. I'm not 100% sure why. Haven't read anything about that yet. But so yes, every building would have dead legs. If it didn't, it would mean we recirculate it back through. And we don't recirculate water because then that would be probably a different filtration system. And we can't change it because that's how they built it. I know somebody in this row had hands. That's okay, we'll still bring you the mic.
Is this only transmittable through water, or if somebody has it and they cough or sneeze by you, can you pick it up?
It is not transmittable person to person or by coughing and sneezing. Okay, I'm gonna go back to, you have a question for the group?
How long should you let the water boil if you're gonna boil your water?
2 minutes. 2 minutes, boil water for 2 minutes.
I just wanted to emphasize that this is not a contagious disease. It's a bacteria grows in the water, and so you have to be in contact with the bacteria. It's not contagious, coughing, sneezing, one from person to person, no. You have to get it from the water source. It's carried by bacteria that grows in the water.
Thank you.
Who was next over here?
I came in a little late out, so it does not impact the pool or the pool area at all.
At this time, no. It does not impact the pool or the pool area at all. We definitely talked about it with the health department because there are common areas. They often see a lot of it coming from pools, but we talked about our filtration system and all that kind of stuff, and they were happy with what we have with the pool. We did test the pool, though. On Tuesday, Wednesday, we did test the pool a couple different ways, and we're going to see how those come back.
Hello. I had 3 quick ones. So we walked in just a couple minutes late. So the test for the water occurred on what day?
Wednesday.
Okay. So hopefully, we came in and said, hopefully 7 to 10 days from Wednesday, we should have an answer. And that would be basically, we would have an answer for the entire building, or there's been tests done in multiple sites and
It will
all
be
that?
all the tests. So we tested BP and we tested some of the common areas as well.
Okay.
So we will have an answer for all the tests. We talked with our water management consultant, and he told us the places to test. And so we tested all those places that they recommended along with where the health department recommended. And actually, our meeting with the health department was the same day that the testing person was here, and we were literally calling him, adding things per their recommendation.
Okay. And then on their floor, on 3rd floor, there's a couple of buckets that are catching drips. And they've been there for quite a while. I know they were emptied recently, but often we'll look in there and see
So that, I wouldn't recommend drinking that water.
No. But is that...
But that doesn't cause the mist and aeration for the inhalation. We have been, some of your, I know I said we're not talking about Legionella, but this goes with water. Some of your apartments, those drips have already been fixed, but we're going building by building with the plumbers and getting those fixed. So those buckets will be gone soon, I promise. I just talked to Britt about it this morning, and it's like, what's next on the list?
Okay, and then final one, the antigen test. That's what it's called, correct?
Correct.
Do you recommend that people get it for peace of mind, or should they wait until if they have symptoms or whatever? I imagine some people are going to be nervous about this for a bit. Just curious.
I can't answer that. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. So one of the questions I did ask the health department was how long can antigens stay in your body? So for example, I got COVID and I still had the COVID antigen 6 to 8 months later, even though I hadn't been sick. They couldn't tell me how long the antigen stays in the body. So it could be 2 weeks, it could be 6 months, it could be forever. So having the antigen test, my personal, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. My personal is having the antigen test. I would talk to your primary care physician and just let them know what's going on and seek their recommendation. I don't have an answer to that.
All right, just a quick question. The heating and cooling system?
Yes.
That's all fine? There's no aerosolization of,
So we don't believe there is. Those are treated and tested regularly. We did test them on this round, though, just to make sure.
Yeah, that would be connected to the cooling. No, somebody can't hear me. That would be connected to the cooling tower, which is, so if you ever look up like how to treat it, you can treat it with chlorine. And our cooling towers are treated with chlorine and monitored by an outside company. So in the same with the pool. So essentially if you've got your chlorine levels at the right level, then it shouldn't be able to grow. So the other piece to that is then just making sure that we keep up on monitoring that. But that's part of why when you do a water management plan, you have to have the outside people come treat and test. Because if I'm treating it, testing, what if I am not an honest person and I just decide to not tell you that it's not within the levels, you know, so they make sure there's kind of checks and balances to things. So there's never been a time when the cooling towers are not within correct levels for the chlorine treatment, because they can't even leave here without sounding an alarm when they do the test.
Yes, so real quick, the two people that were infected, were they in adjacent apartments? I was thinking they were together, and then you said they're in different apartments. Were they adjacent?
I'm sorry, I'm handling, oh, little.
Were they in adjacent apartments?
No, they were not in adjacent
'Cause I was
adjacent
thinking
apartments.
maybe it went through the cooling system.
When you get the test results back next week, are you going to publish them?
We probably won't publish the exact results, but we will let you know the results. We definitely will let you know.
Did they move from the same place? Did they originate, the two people?
I don't know that answer. I don't think so.
Okay.
So in talking with the health department and Laura and I's crash course in Legionella education, we have found out that summer months are the highest for Legionella to grow in anywhere, and it's very common. It's like Laura said, it's not something you hear about often, but it is very, very common. I'm willing to bet that at least half of you had had it sometime in your life. It's very common. And you may not have known a flu, a hot cough. I sometimes have a hard time breathing, and I think it's just my allergies. So, like I said, the symptoms are very common. We just don't want you to wait to talk to your healthcare provider.
I experienced the illness 3 years ago. And a woman down the hall also experienced it. Hospitals are not cooperative. They don't inform you what's going on. It doesn't last. Within a day, you're in the hospital, but you're better, but they want to take 20 tests so they can make money on you. So your bill is $2,000 plus. I think that we assumed, because myself and a neighbor talked about it, we assumed that we didn't let the water drain for a while, and it probably had been sitting in the sinks. You don't feel ill long. It only lasts about a day, but the hospital wants to keep you for 2 days to give you 20 tests. So if you want to talk with me, feel free. Nancy Adado Gray. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy lives in PT. And guys, we don't, like Laura said, the health department doesn't always notify us. So I did ask them, because they asked me about somebody who lived here in 2023. And I said, well, this is concerning to me, because if somebody from my building, and it was actually from the other side, gets tested positive for this, how are you notifying us so I can put my plan in place? And they said, oh, we don't. We just send a letter to the resident. So that was concerning to me, because we don't always know. We are taking these steps because we know, and we are doing everything we can to keep you safe. It is probably overkill. However, all of you are important and all your health is important, so we have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep you healthy and safe. Okay, there was another. We got about 10 more minutes, guys.
I'm really glad that you did well with your Legionella, but a lot of people have died. And yes, get tested.
Like I said, consult with your healthcare provider. Nobody in here, I don't think, is a doctor. Consult with your healthcare provider, please. Okay? Once you consult with your healthcare provider, they know your history. Consult with them. They are the professionals. They probably know more.
I realize that it does say in the article here that Legionella is not spread from person to person. However, we should not minimize the effect of somebody having an active disease and having a reflexive cough that is strong and goes like 5-6 feet in front, and sometimes even for the harder cough, because it's a reflective cough, in response to the natural mechanism of expelling thick, purulent sputum, it goes longer, and you can get a spray of mist from that, and it's like it's nebulizing the sputum. So you can get maybe not exactly directly person to person, because it's not a virus, it's a bacteria, but you can have a contact with their sputum when they cough violently.
So we've been told it's not transmittable from person to person. That doesn't mean other illnesses and germs are not. So cover your mouths, wash your hands, have good hygiene. That is not from Legionella. You can't get Legionella like you could COVID or something like that if you grab this and I have it. That's not something that you can get. However, you do need to make sure that we are all using good hygiene practices, washing our hands, covering our mouth when we sneeze or cough, those type of things in general. That's just a general friendly neighbor rule.
Wash your hands in regular water.
You can wash your hands in regular water, yes.
I wanted to learn if you can do laundry in cold water and it's okay.
Laundry is fine because Legionella doesn't live on your clothes and it's a closed system. So it's not creating the mist. You get it when you inhale it through your lungs, which called you aspirate or you breathe it in. That's when it goes into your lungs and the bacteria grows. But doing your laundry and dishes, it's closed. So we just say, wait till the cycle is done before you open it. Okay, last call for any questions. I think we answered pretty detailed. You guys had some great questions.
Just real quick, so since there's a lot of temperature questions, the temperature zone for it to grow the fastest and the most is 68 degrees to 113 degrees. So again, if you think about what we talked about, the areas that we treat with chlorine, the cooling towers, the pool, the hot tub, if you think about those areas, it's because that's where it grows the fastest. So that's why we have to have those treated and tested regularly for the chlorine levels. So when the health department first called and they found out we had a pool, immediately they said, shut down your pool. Everybody's getting Legionella from your pool. Nobody went in the pool because the pool was closed during that time. Well, we all know how often the pool is closed.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming here on such short notice, but Laura and I have had some questions in the hallways. Mike, everybody, all of the staff had some questions in the hallways. We thought bringing it together would be best. If you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. and we are happy to answer them. And we will definitely let you know when the test results come back what those results were and our next steps. So we are trying very hard to communicate clearly and efficiently. But please be aware there are 500 plus people in this building. So I cannot always send a carrier pigeon to your apartment.
And Bill was going to make some more copies of that education. If you have an email that you use regularly and you want to email Mike or Bill, they can email you the education. And again, it's also posted outside of my office door. Yes. With like a 2-minute to read. I said, don't flash it so they can't read it.
Okay, I'm just very, very impressed by your presentation, by your quick grasp of complicated details and everything. But what impresses me the most, well, two things: that you are working as a team, and the second thing is, I don't think we realize when we're sitting in our apartments the intricacies of the whole system, that the water comes in here to our washer, and, we just take it all for granted. And some people complain about the rent and all, but the things that go on behind the scenes that we just take for granted are pretty amazing. So I thank you for that.
On that note, I want to say publicly, I appreciate my team significantly, because when I said I need you in my office in 15 minutes, and I need you all to go pass out all these letters, and somebody go buy all this water, and go pass that out, and go do this, and go do that, everybody dropped everything they were doing, and we passed everything out to all apartments with the Friendly Neighbors help by 1 o'clock that day. So it was an amazing thing. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. We know this can be a scary time, but we're doing everything we can, okay? You're welcome. And I love seeing all your lovely faces this morning. I don't get to see you guys much.